For the past 5 years, I've been helping people who had a goal, who had desire to speak better English. And through training, I discovered a very surprising truth. I discovered how will somebody communicate in English actually has very little to do with their English level. It has a lot to do with their attitude towards English. There are people out there who have a very low level of in English and they can communicate very, very well. One of them I remember was a student, a participant of mine named Adil. He was a factory supervisor. English level very, very low. But this guy could just sit and listen to anybody very calmly, clearly, and he could respond, absolutely express his thoughts beautifully at low level of in English. So today I want to share with you what's so different about people like Adil. How did he do it? And second of all, what's one thing we can do to speak with that calm, clear confidence like Adil has? And third of all, why is so important, not only to me or to you, but to our children and our Moroccan community as well? To answer this question, let me tell you a story while training staff 3 years ago. My sister at that time was taking piano lessons. And I started to notice two really strong similarities between my sister's attitude or thinking towards playing the piano and a lot of people thinking or attitude towards English. First of all, I should tell you that my sister absolutely hated the piano, hated the lessons and hated the practicing. And she dreaded going to piano lessons. She was filled with sorts of dread because it was all about not screwing up. And because a lot of piano students, to both my sister and her teacher, her success in her job is measured by how few mistakes she made. At the same time, I noticed that a lot of people went into English conversation with the same feeling of dread. This sort of feeling is that they were going to be judged by how many mistakes they were going to make. So, I could see these similarities, but I still can't figure out what's it about people like Adil that are so different that can just do it smoothly, calmly, with confidence. One day I discovered that answer. I discovered it quite by chance when my computer broke down. I had to go to a cyber cafe. It was my first day. I discovered cyber cafes are disgusting place. They're really gross, they're smelly, and they're filled with boys, and they're all playing nosy violent games, but I have to go there. So I sat down and I started noticing one guy beside me. I become very interested in this guy next to me. That guy is playing a certain game. That's basically it's like shooting people until they die, and that's it. That's the game. And I start noticing this guy is not very good. In fact, he's terrible because I'm seeing a lot of shooting and not much dying. But what really interested me was behind this lousy player were three of his friends playing there, standing there watching him play. What I really noticed, even this guy is terrible, even though his friends were watching him. There is no embarrassment. There was no feeling of being judged. There is no shyness. In fact, quite the opposite. This guy totally focused on the bad guys. Smile on his face. All he can think about is killing these guys, right? And while watching him, I suddenly realized this is it. This is the same attitude that people like Adil has. When Adil goes into English conversation, he doesn't feel judged. He's entirely focused on the person that he's speaking to and the results he wants to get. There is no self-awareness and no thought about his own mistakes. I want to share with you a real true example to paint a picture of somebody who speaks English like they're playing the piano and someone who speaks English like they're playing a computer game. And this is true story. It happened to me. A while ago, I was in a pharmacy. I had to buy Omega. My doctor said I should get Omega. I went to the shelf where there's tons of Omega. There's Omega that's in EPA, Omega that's in DHA. I don't know which one to buy. Now the sales rep happened to there and I saw she's like this well-dressed professional woman. I walked over to her and I see this look like she says me this sort of a look I recognize very well. Her is girl white. Oh my god, I've got to speak to a native speaker. She's going to judge me and notice my mistakes. So I go up to her and explained my situation. Which Omega do I get? And she starts explaining to me everything about DHA and the EPA you could possibly imagine. And she speaks very quickly, goes around in circles. But when she finishes, no idea which one to buy. I turned to the girl behind the counter. I heard her English level very low. But when I walk over to her, this girl, there's no fear. In fact, she's just looking at me. You know that look like, yeah, okay, so how? I go up to her and I explain the problem, DH and EPA. And she looks at me and says, okay, EPA for heart and DHA for brain. Your heart okay or not? I said, my heart is really pretty good. She says, your brain okay or not? I said, no, my brain is not as good as it used to be. She says, yeah, okay, take Omega DHA. Now the problem solved. So we've got two different kinds of communicator. We've got the one who's got high level, totally focused on herself and getting it right. And we've got another one, low level, totally focused on the person that she's speaking to and the result she wants to get. And therein lies the difference. So why this distinction? To answer that, let's take a look at who actually speaking English in the world today. So, if we look at all of the English conversation in the whole world taking place right now on the planet Earth, we would see that for every native speaker, there are 5 non-native speakers. And if we listen to every conversation in English on planet Earth right now, we would notice that 96% of this conversation involved non-native speakers. Only 4% of the conversation are native speakers to native speakers. And everyone can understand through this distinction that English is not an art to be mastered, but it's just a tool to use to get a result. Now the challenge is that we know in schools all around the world that English is not really being thought like a tool to play with, but it's still being thought like an art to be mastered. And students are judged more on correctness than on clarity. Some of you may remember the old comprehension in school when the teacher gives to student an exam or give a text to a student and ask them to repeat repeatedly. Then the teacher asks question about the text to make sure that students understood the text. Like this student. This student clearly understood paragraph 4, but not correct because he left the letter N of the word environment. But in the real world, what would matter is did you understand the EMI? Did you understand the customer? So you can go ahead and take actions. Now the problem that I see here over and over is that people take the attitude developed about language in school and they bring it into their adult life and into their work. So, if you are in a stressful situation and you're having a conversation and you're having to give a result to someone and say it correctly, Your brain multitasks and it can't do two things at once. And what it is the brain just shutting down. And you may recognize the symptoms of the brain shutting down. The first one is that your listening goes. Someone talking to you and you're so busy thinking how to respond, how to express yourself correctly. You don't actually hear what other person said. The second thing, guys, is your speaking. And the vocabulary you don't know just disappear. And the words don't come out. The third thing is your confidence. You may be the worst thing about this is you may be unconfident because you can't express yourself clearly, but to the person talking with might misunderstand this as lack of confidence in your ability to do the job. So if you want to speak English with that great confidence like Adil has, when you speak, don't focus on yourself, but focus on the person that you speak with and the results you want to achieve. And is these two big roles to improve your expression and discussion with other people.